Hi everyone, today we're going to be doing a horse eye study. If you go into the comments, I do have this picture for you to download. The photographer is Andrew E. Brooks. Thank you so much for this photo. I absolutely love it. I love the fact that we can see the little horse's eye being reflected there. I also have included a line drawing, which is free to download. Now you can either use a line and trace it over like I have. It's completely up to you. Now you will have people telling you that tracing is cheating. Take it with a pinch of salt. People are allowed to have their opinions. There are people out there that think girls should only wear skirts and that boys shouldn't grow their hair long, etc, etc. Everything that I'm going to be using today, there will either be a link in the comments or there'll be a link to my website where I list everything. This little area here as my palette. For the video, you can see how I mix colours and things like that. I would recommend you either do it on an actual palette or a tear-off palette or even a paper plate. Completely up to you. Now the first colour I'm going to lay down is raw umber. If you haven't got raw umber, burnt umber will do as well. It's just a little bit warmer. And what I've got myself is a little filbert brush. This is actually an oil filbert brush. When I very first started out painting, I bought oil brushes, and then I just quickly discovered that actually oil brushes are not what I want to use. So I use acrylic brushes or watercolour brushes. I actually like the softness that you get in the bristles because I actually don't want any texture on my work. What I'm actually doing is underpainting first so that I can work out the tones. So if you can see, that's going to be quite wet. It will drip a little bit. Add a touch. It's going to be a little bit runny. If you're doing this on a palette, you will find that you do not need to add as much Gamsol as I'm using. It's going to keep drying out because we're actually putting it straight into a canvas here. It's a good idea to use a fixative. Now, if you haven't got a fixative, don't worry. It just means that you probably have to work around the lines a little bit more and a little bit more carefully, like this. If you put the fixative down, then you can pretty much scrub back and forward and it won't remove the lines. Just be a bit careful when you do this. Sometimes it's quite a good idea to tone the entire painting first, just so you're not working on that pure white. Also, when I trace, I don't normally make these lines so dark. I've done so that the camera picks it up. Just filling in all the darker areas. Just almost like with a light wash. And as you can see, I'm going back and forth with this brush. So I wouldn't use a brush that is new and that has a point, because that'd be the quickest way to get rid of the point on your brush, which is not ideal. I use a maul stick quite a lot. A maul stick can be just a bamboo cane with a bit of rag tied on the end. You can actually have ones where you buy them the home because they're so much more lighter weight. And now I'm just getting myself a little rosemary filbert 305, which has got a lovely little point on it. We're going to start getting the details in, and as I think I said earlier, the reason I chose this eye is I love seeing this little horse. So let's get the him in. Now I would suggest, if you are following this tutorial for the very first time, or a tutorial for the very first time, watch it through. You can speed up bits just so you know what's coming up, and then just pause it until you almost like catch up. I keep going to go to my palette, which I normally have on the right side of me, to get my paint, forgetting it's now up here. I'll get used to that. I use Gamsol because it's odourless and it helps the oils dry, especially if I'm working in such thin oils like I am here. You could not use anything, or you could use, sorry, the door, sorry about that. You could use blues and greys that are going to be coming into this eye. Let's make sure. I'm just trying to work out. So we've got, let's do this lip bit first. That bit comes down there. And this is quite dark here. There's a highlight between that darkness that's actually on the eye and actually on the, almost like the lip, the skin around the eye. I'm always conscious when I'm painting that I'm going in the direction of whatever it is. Normally it's like the fur, like I've got to remember all the time that this eye is a ball. Or that I'm always remembering that curve, the curve of the eye.
think it's quite good if you start mapping it up even from the very early stages. This eye will be very close to the reference in what it looks like. It won't be an identical copy. I will tweak things if I think things would look better if I change certain areas. I apologise, I just realised that my hair was slightly getting into the front of that green. So I've now just put it over my shoulder. Looks like we might have 2 dogs snoring now, so I apologise for that. Now, if you are painting something and it goes completely and utterly wrong, because this is all quite wet, you can just get a bit of cloth or kitchen roll and just wipe everything off and start again. Either that, or you can actually just leave things and see how they go. Because one thing I've learned over the time I've been painting, sometimes the mistakes are really beneficial. Will look great. Definitely don't beat yourself up if you make a mistake. I will put some background music on, hopefully that will quieten the girls.
We have had a bit of a difficult week. My 30-year-old Staffy broke her foot, and we've literally been
having to carry her up and down the stairs. Now she's like my shadow dog. I go, she comes with me. So if I leave the studio just to go and get myself a glass of water and I'm coming straight back, she wants to come with me. I won't lie, it has been a little bit challenging. Right, what I'm going to do now, I'm going to get a filbert that I've used previously before. So let me just take the focus off. So it's still got a good shape to it, but it hasn't got that sharp point. Just because I am going to be scrubbing back and forth, and we don't want to use a new one for that. It's almost like if you've done any sort of drawing or anything, it's just a case of almost like shading in. We lose that eye a little bit, don't we, with all those beautiful eyelashes coming down. At a later date, I will probably do a whole tutorial on how to do a horse, and I probably will use one of Andrew's reference photos for that. Brilliant photographer with a very keen interest in horses, and I think when you love the subject, paint them or photograph them or draw them really, really well. And I would say Andrew captures horses beautifully. One thing you'll find with oil paints, putting the very first layer on, the paper or the canvas really absorbs it. Then when you put the next few layers on, because it's sitting on top of paint, the colours hold. So it sometimes can be a little bit of a slow build. It's lovely like that because you get some beautiful depth. There's like a white highlight along here, isn't there? So just give that a little bit of space to leave that.
So every now and then you'll all of a sudden see me not paint and it'll all go a bit quiet. And what I'm actually doing is I'm actually leaning back to compare the eye to the reference. It's always a good thing. You also might hear my wheels squeak across the floor as I push myself away to get a better look at it. Right, so this bit here is lighter than that bit there, but because it's looking very white, it looks like there's a highlight, so it's throwing my eye. So I'm just gonna come in and darken that a little bit. We're then going to come down to this bottom lid. So once I'm going to go back to my brush that's got a point and capture this. So that's coming round there. If I take my time here, it will make everything easier what comes after. It is actually quite complicated collecting this bit here. I just want to make sure I also have the depth a little bit here. Now, if you want to, you can actually change this painting into sepia, and then it's probably easier to copy over. A lot of people find it easier. I actually don't. I think I just find it a little bit I can't get enough information. But give it a go, it might work for you. Now I'm going back to my original big filbert brush. I want to bring a bit further over here. As I say, you can see, hopefully you can see that I'm turning my hand as where I'm thinking, so the hair will be coming over like this, and therefore I'm following that sort of direction with my brush. Even at this swashing stage. I think also another thing about doing underpainting, you get to know your subject really quite well before you actually have committed to doing anything. So that's got that shape there, which we've seemed to have lost a little bit here. So let's bring that back in. Right, as I say, I'm rolling back out now to give that another look. Now I can see that there's quite a bit more darker here that I haven't got in the middle of this eye yet. I'm going to come back in, get a little bit more depth going there. I love getting pet portraits where I can see the owner's reflection or shadow in the eye. I always think that makes a really nice painting. So I also can see this line here, I've made it quite straight coming down, but actually there's a little bit more of a curve to it, and that will help show the curve of the eye. Just changing those lines a little bit. And that's a bit sharp here, so I'm just softening it a little bit off here. Going back to my slightly battered filbert, because I want to get this almost, you can see the rolling shape here. I need to capture that. And then what's going on in this bit here. I used to have a horse as a child. It's a long time since I've rode a horse. I need to probably rectify that. And then I want to come darker in underneath this name. It's right, my mind's drifting. I'm thinking about probably doing this in 2 videos. One with the underpainting, one with the underpainting, one with the paint on top, and then I might also do a video on how to clean your brushes straight after. So we are going to blend that into the background, but I'm going to get that little bit of blue in there first. Oh, let's get a bigger brush. Going to need a bigger brush, much bigger brush here. You're just about capturing that top bit. Thinking you could do a little bit of a brush, bless him. So at the moment I'm just blocking in roughly where their hair is. We know we're going to be having lots of flyaway hair in there as well. Right, let me just roll back and have a little look. Mix that into a nice black. Bit on a little bit on the blue side, but that's fine. I think if we look at the eye, it's all a little bit on the blue side over there. Now, where these eyelashes are going to be, we would normally have, if I'm doing an underpaint, I might make them a little bit darker, but because I know I'm going to come in with this nice blue,
so here I add a little bit of ultramarine blue to my palette.
So leaving that area
I want to make black and raw umber and ultramarine blue make a beautiful black. I'm going to capture the darkest area, which is this bit here. As I say, it's leaning slightly to the blue side in the black, but that's quite nice. When I'm doing my realistic looking paintings, I pretty much avoid using black out the tube, and definitely neatly on itself, rarely ever use that. Might get used black it with a blue or a brown, but a lot of the time I actually make my blacks up, mixing these two colours together. Now with the oil paints, we do have a tendency to put our darker colours down first and then lighter ones on top. Light colours do seem to sit better on top of darker ones. I believe when you do coloured pencil, it's the other way around. We work light to dark. But here we work dark to light.
which I quite like, because I think majority of us, we've learnt our first lot of learning to draw would be by using graphite. So we all used to do the old black lines around objects and so forth. You could still do that with this, and then you just go over with a light colour and make it way. That makes sense. Not sure it does, but that's okay. On the whole, I think that eye goes there. We have a slightly darker area here. So I'm just adding quite a bit of Gamsol, so it's much more of a fluid. And therefore we can just colour this in a little bit, just so that we can start balancing the eye. So that's all hair that's coming down, so I'm going to leave that for now. But before you come down, and just get my bigger brush, just blend that in a little bit. Right, you can do one or two things.
Consistency.
I'm literally going to go away and make myself a cup of tea. By the time I've made myself a cup of tea and come back, this here, you can see it's already dry. If you've used linseed rather than Gamsol, you might find that it takes a little bit longer to dry. Also, if you've painted a little bit thicker than I have. I have broken this video up into two parts, this being the first part, and here's the second part. If you've been watching on YouTube, please give the video a like and subscribe to my channel to see more art related content, future tutorials and our artist blog. Bye!